Okay, so you probably know by now that I very rarely have a topic in mind when I come here, sit at my desk and turn on the camera. Um, and, I didn't have a topic for this morning as per usual. But once I turned on the camera and I just sat at my desk quietly, just did this. Guess what came up so unexpectedly? So unexpectedly. I mean, why on earth would I think of that? Who knows? But this was the topic: friendship. I honestly have no idea where that came from and why, or what I'm supposed to do with it, but there you have it: friendship. So I guess I can talk a little bit about what friendship means to me. And, you know, some of my experiences of friendship. I can tell you that there have been times when there were pretty dark moments in my life, pretty painful moments in my life. And who was there for me? Friends. At those times, sadly, and this is no indictment of anyone, but sadly for me, I couldn't call on my family. And I think there are a lot of people who have been in that situation where, in their greatest moment of need, sometimes, they relied on their friends rather than their family for any number of reasons. For any number of reasons. But aren't we blessed? Aren't we blessed to have friends? People who just, especially in some moments, they might not always do this, but in some moments, in our most desperate and helpless and sometimes even hopeless moments, they are there to just be with us unconditionally. And I'm thinking of one particular person at one particular point in my life. Oh my goodness. I was going through such an awful time. I could, like you could say it was, I was depression. I'd never been diagnosed, but I certainly was very depressed. I was going through some big changes in my life, and this friend, Stacy, she was there for me. She was there, like, and up until that moment, she was just, a casual friend, really, somebody that I knew professionally. But I don't know what it was. She just was there for me, and the strength that I didn't seem to have, she had it for me at that time. And I swear to you that, like she was an angel who just was there for me. And if it hadn't been for her, who knows what would have happened. But my God, I am ever so grateful, so deeply grateful for her. And for how she walked with me during that time. And I think, one of the reasons, in fact, if not the most important reasons why I do the work that I do, because it's because I know what pain is. I know what suffering is. I have had a lot of it in my life. And, when I first decided to do this, my overriding motivation was I don't want people to experience the pain, the kind of pain that I have experienced. I don't want them to suffer. And if I can do anything to help with that, that's what I want to do. And so in this moment of darkness and of, deep need, there was Stacy for me. And I think it's the ability to just know without having to know all the details. Although she did know quite a bit of the details around what was happening to me at the time. But just, I think what she was responding to was the fact that somebody, another human being, was suffering. And she, as I think it is in all of us, she didn't want to see another human being suffer, and she was just responding in the most spontaneous and natural and instinctive way, which was to help another human being. Now, Stacy wasn't the only friend that has helped me in a moment of need. There've been many, and I would be, it would be remiss of me if I mentioned some names and didn't mention others, but I do want to mention another friend, and like I said, there's so many, and I know that the others, they're not going to ever be offended because I don't mention them. In fact, if anything, they'd probably be happier that I didn't. But I do want to mention another person, another friend, Babs. Babs has, been there for me in times when I've had, awkward, even difficult situations. And she's been there just unconditionally, and her attitude has been, I'm going to help. I may not know exactly what I'm going to have to do, but I'm going to be there to help you. I mean, how amazing is that? How amazing is that? And I sometimes judge myself and think that I don't necessarily have that kind of generosity. I sometimes feel that. and I know that that's not necessarily true. Sorry, I'm just trying to adjust the lighting here. I don't know if that's any better, but we'll go with it. But yes, I think I do have that generosity in other ways, and each one of us can be and is a friend in the way that we know best how to be. I think that's a fair thing to say. I really do. So, we all come with different gifts, different skills, different abilities, different proclivities, different tendencies. And so we offer our friendship in the ways that align with our gifts, I think, and our abilities. And my goodness, I am, let me just, since I was inspired to talk about this, let me just take this moment to say, with every fiber in me, thank you to all those people who have helped me. And please, I know I said my friends have been there for me, and I have not been able to, rely on my family, but my family has also been there for me at other times, in other ways. So I just want to make sure I don't give you the wrong impression. And while I think of it, I've often heard people say, especially when they're looking for a partner in life, and they've talked to me about it, and they've, talked about as they're going through the process of meeting someone, or perhaps being attracted to a certain person and it's not reciprocated. And I've often heard them say something to this effect: we're just friends. And it's expressing a disappointment that it doesn't seem to show potential for becoming something other than friendship. And I often think, and often say, to them, if I feel that they are ready to hear it, I often say, gosh, if you can build a relationship around friendship, if that is your foundation, I think you've struck gold. And I really do. I mean, my goodness, to have a relationship that is built on friendship, and the kinds of friendship that I just described to you, and that was just two of those people in my life, friends in my life. I guess what I'm trying to say here is, if you have a relationship where you have such a good friendship, then everything else is like bonus, because you've got the core of it. You've got the core of it. Yeah, that's what I reckon. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. And as always, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, even your experiences. Where have you, what kinds of friends have been there for you, and what was it like? And even when they may have not been there when you needed them, and when you felt you could rely on them and they didn't show up for you. Whatever it is that that you care to share, I would love to hear it. I would love to read it. Yeah, please do. And wherever you are, I hope that, your life is, a beautiful garden of friends. You don't need a lot of them, but the few that you do have can make all the difference. So, have a beautiful day or evening wherever you are. Bye for now.